my hope, hold my hope, hold my hope. Great, keep that going. Now, altos and tenors, there's 3 options for you, and the lowest one goes like this. Hold my trembling, hold my trembling, hold my trembling. Keep going with that. Now, the middle part goes like this. Hold my trembling, hold my trembling, hold my trembling, hold my trembling, hold my trembling. Keep going, and here comes the high option. 1. Hold my trembling, hold my trembling, hold my trembling, hold my trembling. Good, keep that going. Now here comes the melody. Hold my trembling, hold my hope.
Hold my trembling, hold my trembling,
Hold my hope,
heart teach me to
hold my hope.
hold my trembling, hold my trembling, hold my trembling.
Okay, you're getting off.
Hold my
So instead, I'll be doing it with this track. And then you can just jump in with it. Say again. Yeah, and then you can do something different. Yeah, that sound good? Yes. Okay. Yep. The bass line is what holds it together. Dum da dum, dum da dum da dum, dum da dum. It's always the same. So.
Are you starting over?
Yeah, we have to start it. Here we go. Now, when I introduce something, go for it. Like really bust it out.
Okay.
And don't back off of it until we switch to something else. As they build up, yes. Yeah. Yeah, be leaders.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know
You
that.
will lock it down.
Okay, we got it.
All right, here we go. We'll get bases on this. We're going to be singing Hold My Hope with this. My hope, hold my hope, hold my hope, hold my hope. Good, keep that going. And now bases on this other side. Gardner going to sing. Hold my hope, 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 hold my hope. Now altos tenor, hold my trembling, hold my trembling, hold my trembling, hold my trembling.
Hold my trembling.
So you can't stop while I introduce something there. Like you gotta lead it all the way into the next thing. Because as soon as you stop, then they back off too. You gotta be
Well,
keep
I will do
going.
my best. I could not hear it enough to do that.
Yeah, but every time I started talking, you stopped singing.
Oh,
Don't stop
I'm
talking.
sorry. I thought your hand was like this to tell us to
No,
stop.
no.
Okay, I'm
No.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought you were
Keep
telling
that
us.
going.
Okay.
Lead it. This is part of our learning process about how to keep something going.
Not when you want it, so we got it.
So do not stop. And you can just switch parts, but don't stop parts.
Yeah, we were switching parts, although we were in the treble place.
Yeah, but you were stopping every time I said something. So don't, even when I say
Now we
something,
know.
don't
We know.
Maybe I'll stay on the low bass while you go to the next one.
No, we're with me. Because I don't know how to do it.
hold my hope.
Hold my hope. Hold my hope.
Hold. Now you keep that going, and bass is on the garden side are going to be singing a little bit later.
Hold my hope. Hold my hope.
Hold my hope.
Hold my hope.
Hold my hope.
Hold my hope.
Hold my hope. Hold my hope. Now altos and tenors going to be adding in a little bit.
Hold my hope. Hold my hope. My hope.
Hold my trembling.
Hold
Hold my trembling. Hold my trembling. Hold my trembling. Now the medium option for altos and tenors comes along like this. 1, 2. Hold my trembling. Hold my trembling. Hold my trembling. Hold my trembling. Keep that going, but if you want the higher option, here it comes.
Hold my trembling.
Ready, go. Hold my trembling. Hold my trembling. Hold my trembling. Hold my trembling. Keep going with that, but here comes the melody. 2, ready, go.
Hold my trembling. Hold my trembling.
Hold my trembling. Hold my heart. Teach me to be loved. Hold my
trembling.
Hold my trembling. Hold my heart. Teach me to be loved. Now the higher harmony. Hold my heart. Teach me to be loved. Hold my hold my trembling. Hold my heart. Teach me to be loved. Now end on a hum.
Jeff, we need more vocals. You can't hear these vocals very well at all. You can't hear the vocals very well.
And that's the thing. When I'm like end on a hum, we're stopped.
Okay.
I turned it up because I couldn't hear you and I wanted you to sing louder. Yeah, and he needs it. Okay. So they need to be louder, right? Yeah.
Quieter if I can.
Okay. Yeah. Just keep singing. Yeah. Go out into the room and listen. Like, don't stand behind them. Go up there to listen for it.
The mic. The mic.
Does improve your iron content. Yeah, I understand. I'm just trying to.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'll see what comes out. Not yet, Gav.
Good morning. My name is Ken Stevenson. I'm a member of the board, and I'm here on behalf of the board and the program council. And as a note of personal privilege, I'd like to point out that I was away for 2 Sundays, and it's great to be back with all of you. So thanks for being here. Welcome, whoever you are, wherever you're from, wherever you find yourself on your personal journey. You're welcome here at TVUUC. There is information about the church available. There's a visitor information card. It may be in the seat back or the container in front of your bench. You can fill that out and put it in the basket as the collection occurs, and someone will get back to you with more information. Also, there's those interested in religious exploration. There's a table in the lobby, and you can talk with folks about the youth program and other education experiences available to us. I want to also recognize that we have folks out in the wider world looking at us, so let's turn and wave at that camera and say hello to everyone. I have just a couple of announcements. The first one is about landing points. That's the program that involves introducing people who are either new or want to learn more about Unitarian Universalism. And so you can join this group at 12:30 today. It's in the office conference room this time, and it's a combined session of landing points and questions, Questions. Nobody knows how to say that. Questions. It's a very casual drop-in session for visitors and members to attend and find out more about TVUUC and about Unitarian Universalism. Landing points is a chance to learn more about the nuts and bolts of the church, like who is on the board and whether you might like to serve yourself sometime. Another announcement, let's gather for potluck on Thanksgiving Day here at the church, 1 through 4 p.m. Doors are open at 12:30. People are needed to help set up and clean up. Contact Betty Bumgarner, Barbara Lamb, or Sue Kersey, and join for the Thanksgiving potluck. Now I'd like to ask David Massey to come forward for the endowment fund, I think. This is endowment month.
Good morning. My name is David Massey, and I'm a member of the Endowment Fund Committee. This morning, I want to call your attention to the front of the order of service. This tree is the logo for the TVUUC Endowment Fund. There's an old saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. That proverb very aptly described, I think, the 30 or 40 or so people who in 1949 founded this congregation. The 75th anniversary will be in February. That proverb also very aptly describes donations to the endowment fund. There are, in fact, donations that were made 20 to 30 years ago. The fund celebrates its 30th anniversary next year. Gifts that were invested in stocks and bonds and which are still growing and working to provide financial security for this church. Every year, in fact, members and friends of TVUUC donate to the endowment fund, donations that are over and above our stewardship pledge for the operating budget. I am one of those endowment donors. Yes, we are thinking long term. We want to be sure that this church is still here 75 years from now. We donors also know that the earnings on our investments help fund special projects and programs, sometimes critical projects, that are outside the reach of the current annual operating budget. Indeed, the Endowment Fund Committee has just received proposals from church staff and church committees to fund 13 much-needed projects and programs with a combined estimated cost of $47,000. These are all worthy projects. But the Endowment Fund Committee has a fiduciary responsibility to preserve the growth of the fund over time. So this year we cannot allocate more than about $20,000. Many of the proposed projects will go unfunded. The immediate need for the endowment fund is great, as you can see, and one only has to pay a little bit of attention to the news to understand that the preservation of Unitarian Universalist principles is now more critical than ever. So that is why I would like to take this opportunity to recognize those who have made the endowment fund a reality. If you have ever made a donation to the fund, would you please stand up? Thank you. Let's give these folks a round of applause. Thank you so much for your gifts to the current and future TVUUC. If anyone else would like to join this small but valiant group, I will tell you that any size donation to the endowment fund is very much appreciated. Any size donation has an impact now and over time. As Marion Von Beck has said, every little bit helps, and many little bits add up to a lot. Now, the endowment fund also grows when members pass away, leaving a legacy gift, a bequest. This morning, immediately following the service in the Lizzie Crozier-French room, we will hold a brief ceremony to honor Ed and Arlene Goff, David and Elizabeth Hobkirk, and Kim Haynes, all of whom put the endowment fund in their wills. Reverend Bice will speak briefly about each of these members of blessed memory in our beloved community. You are all invited to participate in this brief ceremony of appreciation and remembrance. Please join us. Thank you.
And we have an announcement by Diane Fox.
Hey, everybody. Very quickly, the 12th is the last day to donate into the auction. If you need any help, we're going to be at the auction table in the in the fellowship hall, right after the service. So we only have a very brief time to accept donations, and every donation is so welcome, and we're so thankful for them. I'll give a longer announcement next week.
Thank you. Now, please silence your electronic devices as we enter into worship.
Good morning. My name is Mark Mulhundro, and I work here at the church. And I'm here to introduce our speaker today. It's the Reverend Jon Coffee. He is a community minister affiliated with Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. This fall, he began work as a chaplain resident at the University of Tennessee Hospital here in Knoxville. This morning, he was going to be reflecting on the first 2.5 months as a chaplain resident. He was an intern at TVUUC for 2 years, and then he served as interim chaplain of pastoral care for 1 year. He was ordained by this congregation in 2018. He works remotely in Knoxville, where he lives with his husband, Keith, and their 2 cats, Memphis and Ganymede.
Yeah. Woo. That was awesome. If y'all didn't clap, I was going to have us clap. Good morning, y'all. How are y'all this morning? I want us to join in an exercise, and it may seem silly at first, but I kind of want you to, if you're willing and able, you don't have to if you don't want to, but if you're willing and able, join me in this exercise and mimic what I'm doing. Ha! Ha! For those who don't know, a couple weeks ago, I was in a car accident, and everybody was okay, but right after it happened, I was scared, and I was shooken up, and the weirdest thing happened. People think that when terrible things happen, that most people, they're going to cry, or they're going to be angry, or they're going to be upset, but I found myself just laughing. And they were trying to, the police officer was there trying to get my statement, and the accident was my fault, if I'm being honest. They were trying to get a statement, and I was nervous, and I was trying so hard not to laugh. And it wasn't that anything was funny. It was just that I had all this nervous energy built up inside of me. And so that exercise of, if you'll do it with me one more time, ha, ha, the next time you're scared or shaken up or don't know quite what your body wants to do, give it permission to laugh, because sometimes even when we're most frightened, things are scary. Sometimes the appropriate action is to laugh. So in this service, if you find yourself wanting to laugh today, feel free to laugh. If you find yourself wanting to cry, feel free to cry. If you find yourself complaining about how long the sermon goes, feel free to keep that to yourself. We invite you now, come, let us worship together. I invite you to remain rising in body or spirit and join us in singing our first hymn, number 1012 in the Teal hymnal, When I Am Frightened, hymn number 1012.
good to be gathered this morning in all the ways that we gather here in our sanctuary, those who are watching from home or from another space. It's good to be together. And I have a story to share with you this morning. It's actually an adaptation of a story written by our very own Reverend Chris Weiss, and it's called The Cure. And it begins with a kid named Maggie, who is very sick. Have any of us ever been sick before? She was really ill, and she had a terrible disease that nobody knew how to cure. And she didn't know if she was ever going to be well again. And so she spent her time in bed at home. And you know what happened? She had lots of friends, but she was really lonely because none of her friends came to see her. It seemed that they were all worried that if they visited her, they would get sick too. I wonder if you've ever felt lonely. Some of us might have. But one day, 3 friends of hers did visit, and she was really excited about it, and they were a minister and a doctor and a magician. Have we ever known any doctors? Have we known any ministers? Have we known any magicians? Some of us, yeah. And Maggie was really happy that her friends had come to see her. And they came and they said, "Oh, Maggie, it's so good to see you. We feel so terrible that you are so sick. But I tell you what," each one of them said, "I'm going to go and I'm going to spend time doing nothing else except looking for a cure for you." And the doctor said, "I'm going to go to my laboratory and I'm going to experiment and I'm going to work and see if I can't find a cure." And the minister said, "I'm going to go and I'm going to meditate and I'm going to pray for you to get better. That's all I'm going to do." And the magician said, "I'm going to go and I'm going to look in all my spell books and see if I can find a spell or a potion that will make you get well." And that made Maggie feel pretty good that her friends cared so much about her that they wanted to help her feel better. But she didn't feel so great when they said the next thing that they said, which was, "I'm so sorry, we can't spend a lot of time visiting with you because we have to go and work on finding the cure for you." And so they left. And what happened? Maggie was sad. She was alone again. She was really lonely. And for days and days, she waited alone at home. And finally, her friends came back. They came together once again to see her, but they didn't look happy. And the doctor said, "Maggie, I'm so sorry. I worked so hard in my lab, but I couldn't find anything that was a cure for your illness." And the minister said, "I meditated and I prayed and I sent all of my love to you, and yet you don't seem to be better." And the magician said, "None of the spells or potions I know worked." And Maggie was still sick. And her friends began to cry. Have any of us cried sometimes when we were feeling sad? But Maggie said, "You know what? You don't have to be so sad. Because I'll tell you what, the only medicine that I need most of all, is your friendship. And the prayers I need most of all are just for you to be here with me. And the magic that I need more than anything else is your love." And her friends gathered around her and they placed her hands on her and they stayed with her. And it is said that in the silence that followed, perhaps a cure was found. And that is our story for this morning. May we be with one another in times when we are sick, when we are having a hard time, and know that our friendship and our presence and our love matter more than we can ever tell. And so now our learners and leaders who are heading to our religious exploration spaces for today are going to head out as we sing the recessional song.
Good morning. My name is Carolyn Rogers, and I'm here with you today as part of the spiritual care team. It includes Mike and David Massey, Tina Becker, John Montgomery, Jon Coffee, Doug Cox, and our dear Gordon Gibson. So we're available to you in many ways. I'm being coached. I thought I was already eating this, Mike. Okay, so we are available to you in many ways. We're open to sharing your joys, listening to your concerns, paying attention to your stories, meeting with you to take a walk in the park or talk by phone or share a cup of coffee at your favorite coffee house. You can reach us by calling the pastoral care phone, which is, the number is listed in the back of the order of service and online. Or you can stop me after the service and I will connect you with someone on our team. You'll also remember that another way to connect with us is at the listening booths on second Sundays, so keep that in mind. You don't have to have a major life event to want to talk to somebody. Whatever's on your mind, a new insight or an idea, talking to someone might help it blossom. So as part of our service to members and friends, I also help coordinate volunteers who want to provide meals and rides or visits to people. So typically we generate a list of individuals who know the family, and from that I work with a volunteer to coordinate what's needed for the family. So while the spiritual care team is a group of trained volunteers, trained in active listening, there are many of you who are volunteers who are active already in providing your valuable presence to others in our beloved community, such as, it is a joy that you have graciously provided meals in the past few weeks for Holly Cannon's family, Carol Villaverdi's family, and now the Weaver family with their new arrival. So congratulations to all of you active participants. We have a joy. Lillian Mashburn has a joy. She says her nephew, Alex Mall, was promoted to full colonel in the Air Force just this past week. His father used to attend the personal beliefs and commitments here with Tom Ennis and was good friends with Tom Ennis. And we received this message this week from Maddie Culpa. She says, my kiddo Jackson Horton, 7 years old, has been having some vague health concerns lately. He's preparing to undergo some testing and visits with specialists. And she goes on to say, Jackson told me it would help a lot if the congregation would send him good vibes and well wishes while we search for some answers. So Jackson, we got it. We're sending all kinds of good juju your way. And Mark Mahundro shares the joy that his parents have returned to the Knoxville area, making it much easier than to drive 12 hours to see them, and we're happy to have them here today. So, as we know, Beverly Clark has been in and out of the hospital and has had several health issues. She's been in the hospital recently and at a rehab center for several weeks. She's now back home in Union County, where she is receiving both physical therapy and occupational therapy. This is a good move. But the main way that we can help Beverly right now is to help find a foster home or a permanent home for her cat, whose name is Jack. If you have any leads, please contact David Massey, right over here. Anybody who would like to foster or provide a permanent home for her cat, Jack. So we all know dear people among us who are carrying the sadness of loss and uncertainty of the future. And so we honor your privacy and your pain alongside these we have shared today. We also know many who celebrate joys, such as significant birthdays and anniversaries. So let us also rest in the comfort of sharing this time together today. Many of us are feeling the weight of the suffering in our world these days, and many days. So I received this wisdom in an email earlier this week, and it helped me, so I offer it to you. Though the world of troubles seems to accelerate its downward course, we have a choice as to how we will respond. We can take a step into inner activism, the sending of our collective energy to places of difficulty in our world. Each human, each one of us, is a point source, of love, of courage, of depth and awareness. Collectively, we generate a shared field that is even more powerful in its potential for blessing, healing, and sustenance, collectively. So whether you're here in person or online, please join our collective energy by singing our wishes for healing and love to all of these and to those who are unknown or held in confidence. Are sending you love to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you love to hold you in love. We are sending you love to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love.
How many folks in here have worked in healthcare? Keep your hands raised. How many folks know someone who has worked in healthcare or is still working in healthcare? And how many of you have been through the healthcare system as a patient? I'm going to raise my leg. You can put your arms down. This next one you don't have to raise your arms for. How many of you believe in God? And you don't have to raise your arms. How many of you don't believe in God? How many of you aren't sure? How many of you ground your religion or your personal philosophy in the Christian tradition? What about the Jewish tradition? The Islamic? Humanist? In this service today, I'm going to share my experience of working in a hospital. And just like every Sunday, when folks are up here and they're sharing a sermon or a reflection or a homily, they're sharing their personal theology. They're sharing their story. And that's what Unitarian Universalism is about, sharing your story from where you are. And the work that we all have to do in community is translating that story into one that meets us where we are. Sometimes that's easier than other times. And sometimes it doesn't fit at all. If that's where you find yourself this morning, either connecting or not connecting, I want you to know that that's okay. That's part of the work we do here in theological reflection as Unitarian Universalists. Wherever you find your source of meaning or your source of connection to the universe, I want to invite you to center yourself for a moment. We'll have a moment of silence, and then I want to wrap up our moment of silence with a reading from Padraig Ó Tuama, which is from a book that we were covering in our chaplaincy education units this fall. But we'll have a moment of silence, and then I'll read the reading. in the name of goodness, of love, and of broken community. In the name of meaning, of feeling, and I hope you don't screw me. In the name of darkness and light and ungraspable twilight. In the name of meal times and sharing and caring by firelight. In the name of action, of peace, and of human redemption. In the name of eating, of drinking, and table confession. In the name of sadness and regret and holy obsession. In the name of holy anger, in the name of aggression. In the name of forgive and forget, and I hope I get this over with. In the name of Father and Son and unholy spirits. In the name of the beauty and broken and beaten up daily. In the name of seeing our creeds and believing in maybe, we gather here, a room full of strangers, and speak of our hopeland. We talk of our danger. We make sense of our thinking to alleviate our lives and to humanize feeling and stop telling lies. In the name of philosophy, of theology, and who gives a damn. In the name of employment and study and finding new family. In the name of our passions, our lovings, and indecent obsessions. In the name of prayer, of worship, and demon possession. In the name of solitude, of quiet and holy reflection. In the name of the lost, the lonely, and the without direction. In the name of the early and the late and the wholly ineffectual. In the name of the straight and the queer, transgender, and bisexual. In the name of boot clogs and boob jobs and erectile dysfunction. In the name of schizophrenia, hysteria, and obsessive compulsion. In the name of Jesus and Mary and the mostly silent Joseph. In the name of speaking to ourselves and saying, this is more than I can cope with. In the name of touch-up and break-up and of breaking down and weeping. In the name of therapy and Prozac and full-hearted breathing. In the name of sadness and madness and years since I've smiled. In the name of the unknown, the alien, and the holy in exile. In the name of the named and the unnamed, and the names of the nameless. In the name of prayers that repeat, I wish that I could change this. In the name of goodness and kindness and intentionality. In the name of harbor and shelter and family. We pray. Amen.
Stay seated for this hymn. The text is in your program, and I picked this one because it is challenging in a couple of ways that remind me of pastoral care and what you go through when you're trying to help with pastoral care, and also when you need it, the feelings you express. So the text is, hold my hope, hold my trembling, hold my heart, teach me to be love. And there are 6 parts to sing, and it's choose your own adventure. You can take one, and I'll be introducing each one. You can stick with one the whole way through, or you can try out different ones. And as a person singing, saying those words, we can feel that needing to express need. And as a person trying to hold down the beat and to keep going, we can feel the needs of the person who is listening and trying to provide care, and how much work it takes to just keep going and keep listening. And so we'll all work on listening and staying together as we try out this Now, basses on the parking lot side, you're going to sing Hold My Hope, like this. Hold my hope, hold my hope, hold my hope, hold my hope. Good, now keep that going.
Hold my hope,
Now the other basses.
hold my hope,
Hold my hope,
hold my hope,
hold my hope. Come on, garden side. Hold my hope,
hold my hope,
hold my hope, my hope, hold my hope, my hope, hold my. Now altos and tenors. Hold my trembling, hold my trembling, hold my trembling, hold my trembling, hold. Now a little higher for other altos.
hold my
Trembling, hold my trembling, hold my trembling, hold my trembling. We've got a higher option coming out.
hold my
for basses.
trembling, hold my 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 trembling,
Trembling,
hold my trembling, hold my trembling,
heart, teach
hold my
me
trembling,
to be
hold my trembling, hold my trembling, hold my trembling, hold my trembling, hold my trembling,
trembling,
hold my trembling, hold my trembling,
heart, teach
hold my
me
trembling,
to be
hold my trembling,
hold my hope, 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 and Thank you.
Good Bones by Maggie Smith. Life is short, though I keep this for my children. Life is short, and I've shortened mine in 1,000 delicious, ill-advised ways. 1,000 deliciously ill-advised ways that I'll keep from my children. The world is at least 50% terrible, and that's a conservative estimate, though I keep this from my children. For every bird, there is a stone thrown at a bird. For every loved child, a child broken, bagged, sunk in a lake. Life is short, and the world is at least half terrible. And for every kind stranger, there is one who would break you, though I keep this for my children. I am trying to sell them the world. Any decent realtor walking through a real dump chirps on about good bones. This place could be beautiful, right? You can make this place beautiful.
Good morning. Someone taller than me was here before. Hopefully you can hear me. My name is Claudia Presley. I'm the Director of Finance and Operations here at TVUUC. Today is not a Share the Plate Sunday. It is a Generosity Offering Sunday. What that means is that 100% of any contribution that you give today that is not marked as a pledge goes to the general operating fund of TVUUC. However, even though this is not a Share the Plate Sunday, I'm here to talk about Share the Plate because today is really an important day for Share the Plate. It is the first day that we're opening up online nominations for the 2024 Share the Plate organizations that we will partner with. For those of you that don't know what Share the Plate is, it's a tangible way for us to show financial support to community organizations that are doing good. The way we do that, super easy. We have an online form. It will be on our website. You'll see a link in the newsletter. It will be listed in all of our social media areas. Really simple form. You can go there, nominate an organization, tell why you think it would be a great organization for us to partner with this year. The nomination period starts this afternoon, so it goes from Sunday, October the 29th through Sunday, November the 12th. Anyone, member or friend of TVUUC, can nominate an organization. At the end of the day on Sunday, November the 12th, at that point, the Share the Plate team, which would be Terry Uzzleton and I, will look at those organizations, organize them in alphabetical order, verify that they're all local organizations, and that we have all the information for them. Then, on Sunday, November the 26th, through Sunday, December 10th, there will be an online voting period for the 12 top organizations from whatever number that we get in. So it's really important to do two things. One, look at the organizations you'd like us to partner with, nominate them. Once we have that list compiled, then vote so that you can get whatever organizations you feel are important to the life of this church onto that Share the Plate calendar for 2024. Back to today. We are going to ask you to give because it is a Generosity Sunday. So the way to do that, offering baskets are going to be passed. You can give online. You can also text give to the number 73256, type in TVUUC, and the amount that you would like to give. So keep in mind, give today, go online this afternoon, and give us your organization that we should partner with in 2024. Thank you.
Recuérdame, si en tu mente vivo estoy, recuérdame. Mis sueños yo te doy, te llevo en mi corazón y te acompañaré. Unidos en nuestra canción, contigo estaré. Recuérdame, si solas crees estar, recuérdame, y mi cantar te hará abrazar, aún en la distancia nunca vas a olvidar, que yo contigo siempre voy. Recuérdame, though I have to say goodbye, remember me. Don't let it make you cry, for even if I'm far away, I hold you in my heart. I sing a secret song to you each night we are apart. Remember me. Though I have to travel far, remember me. Each time you hear a sad guitar, know that I'm with you the only way that I can be. until you're in my arms again. Remember me. Recuérdame. Hoy me tengo que ir, mi amor, recuérdame. No llores, por favor, te llevo en mi corazón y cerca me tendrás. A solas yo te cantaré, soñando en regresar. Recuérdame. Aunque tenga que emigrar, recuérdame. Si mi guitarra oyes llorar, ella con su triste canto te acompañará. Hasta que en mis brazos estés.
This thing is off, so don't worry about it going off during the service. But this thing is also the bane of my existence working in a hospital. It's the pager. This one isn't the on-call pager. This is my personal pager, but the on-call pager looks just like this one. And at any moment, it could go off. So during the service, during this sermon, imagine at any moment, this annoying little device, this talisman from the underworld, could beep. And it might be a number, it might be a trauma, and no matter what it is, it requires a response. So I want to ask you this morning, what are your biggest fears? I'm talking about not necessarily things like spiders, ghosts, or heights, although those might have theological implications depending on how afraid of them you are. I'm talking about things that go bump in the night. I'm not talking about things that go bump in the night. I'm talking about the big questions that we find ourselves maybe afraid to ask at times. Things that are scary in ways we don't like to talk about. Questions like, what happens when we die? Why do terrible things happen to those we care about? What do we do when it feels like there's no hope left? Back in August, I began a one-year chaplain residency position at UT Medical Center, and these are the types of questions that come up every time this damn thing goes off. Perhaps the scariest times a chaplain encounters these questions is when they're on call and the pager goes beep in the night. So for this service, for this sermon, I wanted to talk about what chaplains do. Now, for those of you who work in a hospital or have worked in healthcare or have been in healthcare or have been through healthcare as a patient, how many of you have interacted with a chaplain? How many of you think you know what a chaplain does? Well, I could tell you about all the things that we do, but I figured instead of telling you, I'd invite you to come along with me for a shift on call. The evening starts at 4 p.m. There's handoff from the chaplain who's had the day pager. There's been 6 traumas and they all need follow-ups. And there's a consult on the multi-patient task list that someone would just like to see a chaplain and talk to. There's a palliative care consult. There's a couple other things that need to be followed up on and a page that just came in that needs to be returned. So for the first hour, I do all of those things. I follow up on the traumas that came in earlier that day. Some of them have been admitted to the hospital and are in regular rooms on the floors. Some of them are in surgery. Some of them are in observation. Some of them have been discharged. And some of them are still in the emergency department. At 5:45, the pager beeps. It's the ICU calling. I return the page. A woman with a new kidney wants a chaplain to come and visit. I meet with her. Her name is Kathy, and she tells me how this new kidney is an answer to her prayers. They found a donor at exactly the right time. She asks me for prayer, and when I ask her what she'd like me to pray for, she says she wants to give thanks for the donor's life and blessings on their family. This I absolutely can do, and I'm excited to do. Then Kathy asked me to thank God for making her a part of his plan and for saving her life. This I can also do, but it's complicated. One of the things they teach chaplains to do is not let your own theology get in the way of pastoral care. So I pray with Kathy, and I thank God for his plan and for Kathy's part in that plan. I celebrate with Kathy for her second chance at life, and realize that this is not the time to bring up the fact that the God that I believe in is a creative force moving alongside us as we make meaning in our lives, and it's not human-like, and it's beyond our human understanding, and it almost certainly has no gender. No, this prayer is for Kathy, and the celebration that prayer symbolizes is a sacred moment, and I'm thankful for it. And I think to myself, dang, I'm good at pastoral care. At 6:37 p.m., the pager beeps again. It's one of the floors discharging a patient. A man needs a ride to Oak Ridge, and after exploring some option, we're able to schedule him a ride with Uber Health and get him home. At 6:53 p.m., the pager beeps again. It's the operating room holding area. A person would like a prayer before their surgery. And I show up and pray for their bunion operation, that it will go well and that God will bless it. At 7:32 p.m., the pager beeps again. It's the emergency department. They wonder if someone can come to the ED lobby and talk to a tech who's just been cussed out by a patient who just left AMA. I make my way down to the front desk and find my friend Robin, and I should add here, I've changed all the names. So if any of these cases or any of these names sound familiar, it is by pure coincidence. So Robin is a made-up name. But I make my way down to the front desk, and I find my friend Robin visibly angry and frustrated and probably in need of that ha-ha-ha exercise we did earlier. What I know about Robin, and what the person who cussed her out does not know, is that her mom passed away last week, and she's been picking up extra night shifts to pay for her mom's funeral. I invite her for a walk out of the ED and buy us both a Sprite at the vending machines. With the aid of vending machines, I think to myself, I'm still pretty good at pastoral care. I think about Robin in a broken system, working like we all are. Each of us, no matter what we do for a living, we work inside of broken systems. In my life, I've been a retail worker, a food service worker, a student loan counselor, among other things. Every single one of those systems was broken. The people working in the system are trying to get by just like we all are. And in a hospital, the nurses and doctors and registration workers at the front desk are not the ones who make policy about who to hire or how many or how much to pay them or how long wait times are. And I have to remind myself that the hardest time to remember to be kind is when we feel like crap. But can't people at least try sometimes? Around 8 p.m., I make my way to the cafeteria. I'm excited because they have fried macaroni bites. You haven't lived until you've had fried macaroni bites at the UT Medical Center cafeteria at 8 p.m. during an on-call shift. That was at 8 p.m., but at 8:03, we get a page. The pager beeps again. Someone needs a meal. I pick up a bag lunch from the fridge in the administrative area and make my way to visit them. It's a woman named Shirley who lives by herself. She has no insurance and no money. She needs a prescription to be filled in order to be discharged, so I help her figure out resources available to get the script sent to an all-night CVS across town. She'll need a ride there and then a ride home, so I help arrange that too. More ways the system is broken, and we do the best we can. In spite of the brokenness, I think to myself, I'm still pretty good at pastoral care. At 9 p.m., the pager beeps again. It's a trauma coming in. A 27-year-old man with a broken leg from a car accident. His name is Quentin. His family's already in the lobby, so I go out to greet them. I can't give them any clinical information about Quentin, but I can assure them that the team is taking good care of him. I tell them what to expect next. This is my typical spiel. He's in the trauma bay right now. He's getting ready to go off to scans. They're going to run some x-rays and maybe some other tests, and it could be some time before you get to go back and see him. It could be 30 minutes. It could be a couple hours. I just want to set that expectation now. It all depends on several things. But as soon as he lands in an emergency room, we'll come and get you, and you can come back and see him. They seem assured. I wish I could tell them more, but I've done some pastoral care. There will be several more pages before 1 a.m. A 45-year-old man who fell off a ladder, a 56-year-old woman in a car accident, a 36-year-old person who cut themselves while cooking, a 17-year-old girl in a four-wheeler accident. I'm going to take a moment to say that if you take nothing else from this sermon, I want you to wear your seatbelt, wear your helmets, and wash your hands, please. At 1 a.m., I finally make it up to the on-call room for some sleep. At 2:23 a.m., the pager goes off again. It's a 38-year-old man who's having a hard time sleeping and could use someone to talk to. I roll my eyes. Some of us weren't having a hard time sleeping. I make my way up to the man's room, and by the time I get there, I'm feeling a little more pastoral. His name is Sam. He tells me, "Preacher, I'm glad you're here. I got bad news today. I found out my cancer is back, and I just needed to talk to somebody about it." Then he says, "I'm scared." Me too. So I say, "Tell me more about that." He shares the story of his illness and his several-year battle with cancer. It went into remission a year ago, and he thought he was in the clear. And now it's back, and the prognosis looks grim. No wonder he couldn't sleep. And I know he says that I haven't been living right, and I know I should be going to church more, and I know you as a preacher are going to tell me that this is God's way of getting my attention, and I can't help myself. I interrupt him, and I say, "Sam, I know you're scared, and I know I'm a preacher, but it's important to me that you know that that's not why I'm here. I'm here because you're a person who's hurting and scared and needs someone to be with them right now. That's why I'm here. Hold my trembling heart and teach me to be loved." At some point, I make my way back up to the on-call room. Sam seems somewhat more restful. I don't know if he'll get some sleep. I get maybe another hour of sleep in the on-call room until at 3:47 a.m. the pager beeps again. There's been a death in a room, and a family is present at the bedside. I make my way up to the floor and enter to find a woman sitting next to the bed of another who has just passed. I introduce myself to Carmen, who's the sister of Julie, who has just passed away at 36-year-old after developing a sudden illness. I didn't fully understand the details as Carmen explains them, but Julie had quickly become ill and had been on comfort care for the past couple days. Carmen, her older sister, had been by her side through everything. Carmen told me about the woman her sister was, a school teacher, an amateur botanist, loved Lady Vols basketball, and Lady Vols football would be pretty cool. Then Carmen says, "Why did this happen to her?" After a moment, I realize the question's not rhetorical, and Carmen is looking at me as if I have an answer. Terrified, I say, "I don't know." And anybody who tells you they do is lying. There's a poem by the UU minister Angela Herrera called "The Chaplain Goes on Call," and in it she recounts 3 different deaths she attends as a chaplain, and by the 3rd death she says dawn had still not broken when the pager beeped again, and she felt helpless. She offered a blessing and a psalm, the same psalm she read at the last 2 deaths. Here with Carmen, I have no psalms, and instead I sit and listen to a sister recount school days, teenage mischief, and going to college together. Eventually, I make my way back to the on-call room for 1 or 2 hours more of sleep. At 6:30 a.m., the pager beeps again. In all caps, it reads, "Code Blue test, choose to have a great day." To whoever thought test pages at 6:30 in the morning were a great idea for those who had been on call the night before, I have thoughts about the kind of day you can choose to have. I sleep for half an hour more, and at 7:20 a.m., the pager beeps one last time before the end of my shift. There's a mom and a dad in labor and delivery, Max and Ada. Ada is getting ready to be induced, and she and Max would like the room blessed before they begin the procedure. I ask them if they have anything specific in mind. They say no. I take the holy water from the spigot in the nurse's lounge. I fill a seashell we use for baptisms and blessings. I enter the room and say a prayer that I don't remember the words of. But I end with the words of Maggie Smith from our reading earlier, an invocation to the baby. This place has good bones. This place could be beautiful. You could make this place beautiful. For those of us gathered here today, those times in life when we're scared, those times in life when we don't know what to say or do, we don't have to have all of the answers to make things meaningful and beautiful. Like our story this morning, regardless of our individual theologies, sometimes the medicine that we need is our relationships. The prayer is connection, and the magic is love. Our world is one, and what touches one affects us all. Everything we do is of consequence, and the connections we make in times of joy, in the connections we make on Sunday mornings, in the evenings with our family, when we're out with our friends, those are the connections that will be the medicine that saves the world. Let us go out and be the medicine that saves the world. I invite you to rise now in body or spirit and join in singing our final hymn, number 134 in the Great Hymnal, Our World is One, number 134.
One.
Prophetic Church, the world awaits your healing medicine. Go forward in the power of love. Proclaim the truth that makes us whole. As our last act of worship, I invite you to turn and greet your neighbor.